Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse is one of my favourite Mega Drive/Genesis games of all time and holds a pretty special place in my cold callous heart, as when I was a kid I would beg my parents to bring out the Mega Drive so I could play 3 games in particular: Phantasy Star 3, Road Rash, and the aforementioned Castle of Illusion. From the starting cutscene to the brutally unforgiving platforming, this game holds an immense amount of nostalgia for me, so when I caught wind of a HD Castle of Illusion remake, I did what any normal fan of a game franchise would do. Completely forget about it until you hear some saddening news about the game and then purchase it last minute before it disappears forever in the terrifying depths of no longer has a Steam page purgatory. You know, normal stuff. The saddening news being the fact that as of the 2nd of September, the Castle of Illusion remake was taken off every storefront due to licensing issues. From what I can tell, it looks like the developer's license to sell the remake expired, and due to this is no longer allowed to be sold. But is this game being pulled from stores a good or a bad thing? Well, let's see how it is to find out. Castle of Illusion HD is a remake for the first Illusion game in the series, which was initially released in 1990 for the Sega Mega Drive and the Master System, and then later released in 1991 for the Game Gear and 1998 for the Sega Saturn. The original Castle of Illusion was an action platformer developed and published by Sega and kickstarted the previously mentioned Illusion game series. Now let's jump forward to 2013, where Sega Studios of Australia thought, hey, that game was pretty good, let's remake it and then get it taken off all storefronts in 3 years. Should be a good laugh. And then released the Castle of Illusion HD remake for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC. The remake was met with an alright response, scoring a Metascore of 67 and a user score of 7 on Metacritic. But what does that matter? I don't need other people's opinions to validate my own enjoyment of a game. I can make up my own decision on whether or not I'm enjoying something. Nah, I'm just kidding, this is the internet, of course I can't do that. As the game starts up, we find Mickey and Minnie Mouse chilling out when out of nowhere an evil witch named Miserable kidnaps Minnie as she was, and get this, jealous of the mouse's beauty. I don't know, just roll with it. So our job here is to go about the Castle of Illusion and collect all of the rainbow gems to create that one bridge from Thor and get Minnie. Heading into the castle, we find that there are several different doors that, when opened, lead to 3 levels. The castle kind of acts as this central hub zone where you can pick what level to play, look at artwork, and change costumes. It isn't really anything special, but it's pretty nice looking, so that's the thing. So the first world for us to explore is this spooky yet calming forest that I really love. Everything about it just oozes charm and it's just so nice. It also probably helps that my nostalgia is really hitting hard, but I'm going to try my best to look at this game as its own entity instead of just a remake. Something that you may have already noticed is that this game is a 2.5D platformer with a few 3D moments. This adds quite a bit of gameplay variation, as for one level you might just be platforming your way about a forest, and then the next you may be running away from a giant apple, making use of more than just 2 directions. This really allowed the developers to be more creative with how they design the levels in the boss battles, but we'll talk more about the bosses shortly. As we run about this foresty world, we're taught all about the basic controls. We have our running, our jumpy jumps, our item throwing, and so on. Something that I've always loved about Castle of Illusion was the fact that Mickey's projectile weapons always reflected the world that he was in. It isn't really anything big, but just the little details like that are kind of charming to me. So as we're in a forest, our projectiles are apples.
Oh, fuck.
Much like most platformers, our main objective is to get from point A to point B and then maybe fight a little boss battle. So for the most part, I won't be going into detail about each level as there isn't really too much to say. Instead, I'll just talk about each of the worlds as a whole and whether or not it tickled my pickle. Oh, and I'll also talk about each of the bosses for each world. That should do it. After traversing the spooky forest and then escaping a killer apple, we're met by a grumpy old tree bloke who is kind of adorable. I mean, look at his bark mustache. It's majestic. Just look as it doesn't blow in the wind and kinda just sticks to his face. Mr. Mustache has a somewhat common attack pattern of kinda just rolling about and then getting dizzy and bopped on the head, followed by jumping around before rolling around, getting kinda dizzy, and then bopped on the head. Needless to say, he's pretty easy, but he's a fun little boss battle and I really love his style. Stick. So the next world is this awesome Toyland where you run about throwing marbles at shit and platform on jack-in-the-boxes and stuff. Just the idea for this world alone is fantastic, and they've really recreated it well here. You have your little toy soldiers walking about, your playing cards all over the place, and even those horrifying clown dickheads who just kind of roll about the place. Throughout this world is several different magic hats, where if you jump in them, you have to quickly do a certain task to obtain a collectible. One of these being a running game where you have to keep platforming on these cards that appear out of nowhere as the cards behind you disappear, and the other one being a somewhat Klonoa-esque platforming segment where you need to get to the end of the area by flipping the world upside down. They're pretty neat little side quests that, if they're too hard for you, you can always just skip. I like that. The boss for this world is a big old jack-in-a-box, which is kinda horrifying. It hops around in 3D and then locks you into a 2D plane and tries to bop you over the head, but in turn bops itself over the head, allowing you to jump on him. He also does a little spinny thing that's pretty dumb and easy to avoid, so there's not too much to say here. It's another pretty easy boss battle, but I do like the way it makes full use of switching between 2D and 3D. It's kinda nifty, I guess. My god, is that face horrifying. Onwards to the next world, which is this lost underwater temple kind of thing. Fuck this world. It isn't the worst or even the hardest in the game, it just doesn't appeal to me in the slightest. That and the waterfall things just irritated the hell out of me more than anything else. It isn't a bad world whatsoever, I'm just really shit at games and blame it on the world being crap instead of taking responsibility and admitting that I'm in fact pretty wank. Here we can swing about the place and throw ancient artifacts at enemies to kill them. There isn't really too much to say about this world, as the only unique thing about it is the fact that every so often you can swim about. But the underwater segments in this game aren't fun at all and feel really stiff and jank. But hey, at least Mickey makes a funny noise when he gets swept away by the currents. The boss here is nothing more than dullness incarnate. It's just this little frog dude who multiplies after each hit and swims about the place. There isn't really anything for the player to do while swimming apart from dodge the frog dudes, and then when the water goes, all you have to do is jump a couple of times and then jump on his head. It's pretty poopy. But at least we got that gem and we can celebrate by doing a little dance. Yeah, look at that mouse go. He's dancing right now. Yeah. The next world is pretty great if you ask me. It's this library where you go around platforming on various books while using candy as a projectile. And avoiding enemies such as these bookworms. They're literally worms that read books. I love that so much. And there's also these little A enemies who just bounce around and shout A all the time. It's so stupid that I love it. This world really showcases the attention to detail that's been put into this game. Little things like the ropes that you can swing on actually being the switches for lights that turn off when you swing on them is just adorable to me. After exploring the library for a bit, a shadow Mickey comes and kicks you into a bottle that takes you to the other half of this world, that is Candyland. This shit right here is so adorable. The platforms are big Macron Oreo kind of things, and like the lollipops are platforms, and there are these gummy dolphins that jump out of the milk rivers that harm you. It's just cute as hell. This entire world is just cute. I love it. After traveling between the library and the Candyland, we come across this giant red licorice dragon that pops up, and ooh-wee, it sure is a boss battle is what that is. Here we pretty much just dodge his projectiles while jumping between these cookies and then jump on his head. After each bop we get on him, we have to quickly platform across the cookies to get to the next area. Again, it isn't really anything too special, but the whole setting and design of the boss really did it for me. I just love how creative and wacky it is. Look at it, it's a giant red licorice dragon. Like, that's amazing. That is just, look at, I love it. I really love it. Now we head to the final world, which is a spooky castle. I swear, this world is the bane of my existence. These fucking night dudes with their dumb wackadadoos and their throw-majigs caused so many issues that it's unreal. Again, this might just be because I am genuinely terrible at games, but my god was this level infuriating for me. Mickey basically just has to traverse this spooky dungeon, searching for the last 2 gems while throwing candles at anything that gets in his way. Once we get out of this dungeon place, we end up in a pretty cool clock tower that pretty much just serves as a platforming segment with a nifty setting. We are then faced with fighting Shrek's son, who wanted to be a human, so he painted his skin white, who, after trying to brutally murder us with a hammer, allows for us to direct his spinning attacks into these giant bells and kill him. Again, this boss isn't hard in the slightest, and it isn't overly complicated either. But heyo, it's fun, so that's cool, and that's all that really matters. Now that we have all of the gems, we head to the the bridge and make this nice little rainbow. But wait, it isn't over yet, as we have to scale this tower and then go face to face with that one witch lady that did that one evil thing that one time. This boss is actually pretty tricky, as her final attack is just a combination of most of her previous attacks, but all at the same time. This can be pretty hard to focus on everything, but don't you worry, I'm the best at video games. You better know that I'm gonna do this first time, easy peasy. I did it. I killed her. That was super easy. So there you have it. After defeating Miserable, Mickey and Minnie fly off into the sunset, with Miserable apparently being nice after finding out the power of love or some dumb shit. Overall, this game is a genuinely solid and fun platformer, which, on the whole, is a pleasure to play through. The tight platforming mixed with the fucking excellent soundtrack by none other than Grant Motherflipping Kirkhope is just fantastic, and while the graphics are mostly alright, some levels really shine with some stunning backgrounds that look like paintings. And hey, it's also really short, so you can easily just pick it up and play it. It's a pretty big shame that as of now, this game is almost impossible to obtain through non-sketchy methods, as it's a fun little gem. If somehow you have this game and haven't played it yet, give it a go, you won't regret it. And if you haven't got this game, then I don't know, you're shit out of luck. I'm sorry about that. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please share it with your friends, family, or creepy neighbor, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Sorry that my voice was a little odd for this video. I've been pretty ill lately and I'm still kind of getting over that, so thanks for bearing with. Just want to say a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters: Austin, James, Stuart, Melvin, Joe, Mark, Classy, and Harvey. I really can't thank you guys enough. You're bloody swell people, I'll give you that. If there's anything you liked or didn't like, then be sure to let me know in the comments down below, or tweet me at Snooping Turtle. Also, if you want to watch more videos of me doing dumb stuff, then you can check out this video I did for Hello Kitty Roller Rescue, a surprisingly fun game, or this video I did for Ratchet & Clank 3. Give them a look-see if you like. That's all from me now. I hope you have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Oi.